Welcome to the Employer Services SERS Covered Compensation Rule Update. Today we are going to cover the new definition of compensation. After months of discussion at the November 2024 SERS board meeting, the board adopted a new definition of compensation that will be effective July 1st, 2025. The new Administrative Rule 3309-0102 expands the definition of SERS covered compensation that is provided by Section 330901V of the Ohio Revised Code. The new administrative rule has three paragraphs, B1, B2, and B3, that define three separate types of SERS compensation for SERS covered members. Compensation as salary is defined in paragraph B1. Salary is defined as the base salary paid to an employee as set forth in the employee's contract, collective bargaining agreement, or employer's salary schedule. Lump sum payments are not considered a part of base salary. They may only be considered part of compensation as defined in paragraph D, which we will discuss later. Paragraph B2 defines wages as compensation paid to an employee for services based on time worked, but excluding overtime. Wages are paid to hourly employees for their normal schedule. Like paragraph B1, lump sum payments are not a part of wages. They may only be considered compensation as provided in paragraph D. Paragraph B3 defines earnings as payment by reason of employment other than salary or wages. These payments must be in accordance with enforceable obligations that are negotiated in advance of the compensated service provided. For example, payments that are required by law or school policy in accordance with the contract or a collective bargaining agreement negotiated prior to the services being provided. A list of compensation as earnings per the new compensation rule. Overtime paid to non-exempt workers, paid leave, longevity length of service, which is a payment based on total years of employment per written contract or policy and applicable to all employees. Extended days. Back pay awards that reinstate an employee to the employee's position without interruption or loss of time. Commissions. Employer payments to an eligible retirement plan, for example, a 403B, 457B, or a 401k. And finally, pickup on pickup plans. Paragraph C lists the lump sum amounts and one-time payments that are not considered compensation according to the new rule. Payments made by the employer for accrued but unused compensatory time for overtime worked, attendance incentives, wellness incentive, employee recruitment incentives, severance payments, payments not paid pursuant to an employment agreement, collective bargaining agreement, or salary schedule, payments to settle a grievance that are not back pay, lump sum payments made by the employer in return for the employee retiring. We will be covering payments that aren't considered compensation under statute in a little bit. As mentioned earlier, paragraph D defines lump sum payments and one-time payments that are considered compensation. In order for these payments to be considered compensation in accordance with the new rule, they must be provided for in the collective bargaining agreement, individual contract, or in school district policies in advance of the performance of the compensated service. This includes retention payments, signing bonuses, and education payments for certifications. According to paragraph D, negotiated contract terms and formally adopted payroll schedules must be in place before the payment is earned by the employee. This chart shows what is now different. Lump sum payments that are not incentive payments will need to be written in the collective bargaining agreement, individual contract, contracts, or school district policy. Retention payments that are issued to a current employee so they will remain in their position for a certain period of time is now considered covered compensation. However, it is required to be written in the contract for that individual. Education payments for attaining or having a certification or degree is considered covered compensation. It will need to be written into a contract or a school district policy. Signing bonus payments to new employees for accepting a position with the district is now considered compensation. This payment will need to be written into a contract or a school district policy. Lump sum amounts and one-time payments must be specifically listed in contracts, school district policies, or bargaining agreements prior to the payment of compensated services to the employee. For example, if a bonus is issued to an employee for an on-time, under-budget completion of a project, but there was no advance provision in the agreement that the employee would be provided a bonus for the on-time, under-budget completion of a project, employer services would not consider this to be an SERS covered compensation and cannot be reported. Employers cannot take any action to amend contracts or pass resolutions to try to retroactively make payments to meet the SCRS definition of compensation. Employers cannot provide provisions for possible future payments as compensation that are not required to be paid under contract. There has been no change to compensation that has been excluded by statute. This includes payments for accrued but unused sick leave, personal leave, and vacation leave, amounts paid to provide life insurance, sickness, accident, endowment, health, medical, hospital, dental, or surgical coverage or other insurance for the employee or amounts paid to the employee in lieu of providing the insurance. Incidental benefits including lodging, food, laundry, clothing or uniform allowance, parking, services furnished by the employer, use of the employer's property or equipment, cell phones, reimbursement for job-related expenses authorized by the employer, moving and travel expenses, and expenses related to professional development, compensation made to or on behalf of an employee that is in excess of the allowable limit under federal tax law. Anything of value paid to an employee that is based on or attributable to retirement or an agreement to retire, payments made as a differential payment for an employee who enters active military duty for more than 1 month. Please remember that the new compensation rule does not go into effect until July 1st, 2025. SERS will continue to follow the current compensation rule when reviewing compensation determinations until the effective date. When requesting a compensation determination, Employer Services will require all documentation pertaining to the payment in question. Once the determination has been provided, the status of the payment as compensation is final. For any questions, contact Employer Services at 877-213-0861 or email at employerservices@ohsers.org. Thank you for watching.